Hi guys, welcome to a very special edition of Talking Boxing. Yes, the show must go on. I'm currently in New York, Manhattan, to be precise, right next door to Ground Zero. So I'm actually staying at the Club Quarters Hotel in at World Trade Center. So outside my window here, you obviously can't see it there. I'm not going to move the camera, I'll upset things here. But yeah, they're actually building World Trade Center number 5, which was obviously demolished all those years ago. I think they've obviously gone with all the others so far. I went to Ground Zero this morning actually, and I had a look around. It's very humbling, but I'll get to all that in a second. I just thought, yes, I'm in Manhattan on the other side of the world, but I have to keep up appearances, I suppose. There's so much going on in the boxing world at the moment, so I thought I'd better jump on and say good day. I'm just going to have a sip of coffee. It's been not much sleep in the last few days. It's amazing when you go from Australia to America, you've got to adjust, but that's on the West Coast. Then I had one night in LA, I had to come to New York, which is on the other side of the country, which is 3 hours ahead. So, it hasn't been a lot of sleep trying to acclimatise to everything, but I'm here, and that's the main thing. But as I said, a lot going on in the world of boxing, so I thought I'd just jump on and have a quick talk about some things happening at the moment. Obviously, it doesn't get much bigger than the fight this weekend, of course, George Kambosos and Haney. But before I actually get into that, I just want this is a non-boxing story. This is probably why, I suppose, I don't know whether it's because I haven't travelled internationally for about 3 years, and whether I've just become a bit too tolerant of people or intolerant of people. Quick story before we get on to all the boxing stuff. I was on the plane going from LA to New York, and we're about, 20 minutes away from landing. And guess what? First of all, the pilot comes across and says, "Look, ladies and gentlemen, we have about 15 people on the plane that have to get to connecting flights. So they're going to land in New York." I think they had like a 30 or 40 minute window, because of course we were delayed by an hour or two or whatever the hell it was. So whatever. So he says, "Can you do us a favour? Can everyone just stay seated? Please stay in your seats." I think you know where this is going. Stay in your seats so we can get these people off, because of course these people are sitting in the back of the plane. Of course. So these people sitting in the back of the plane, I think some of them had to go to Brazil, some of them had to go to the Middle East, wherever it was, but they were sitting at the back of the plane. So the captain said, "Can you please stay in your seats, let these people get off, get to their flights. They've only got a very small window to get off. We can't afford any delays." So then we land the plane. Okay, then the flight attendant gets up in our row. I was right at the exit row there, and she says, "Remember, ladies and gentlemen, please stay seated and let these people get off the plane, please." No drama. So you can see where this is going. All of a sudden, people start getting up. Now, at this stage, I've had enough, because it's been a long few days. I haven't had a lot of sleep. I'm a bit over the whole being cramped in the aeroplanes. Just going over on the flight from Melbourne to LA was packed, so there's no breathing room. And as I said, 3 years off planes, it was not good. So anyway, I'd had enough. So then, of course, a lady comes up and the flight attendant says, "Excuse me, are you on the connecting flight?" She's like, "What? No, what?" She said, "All right, we'll go through," because if she doesn't go through, she's obviously going to be blocking the aisles. So off she goes. Then another Sheila rolls up. "Excuse me, ma'am, are you connecting?" Well, she's obviously had her friggin' earphones on the whole time and didn't hear a thing they said. So she comes up. So, of course, she had to go as well. So they finally stopped. And anyway, at this point, I'm just like, get me off this friggin' plane. But I'll do the right thing. I'll be nice. Then they finally start getting these people off. So off they come, but every second or third person was a passenger who didn't listen, didn't care, whatever. So at the end of the day, we're stuck there, and the aisles are full of people. So we're trying to get everyone off. And, end of the day, they got them off. I think they missed the plane, by the way, because I went past, and a lot of them weren't happy. But of course, then the business class passengers up the front see these people coming through and go, "Oh, well, these people are getting off. Well, we may as well get off." So then they're starting to take down all their bags and rooting around as they do. And I've sat up there, and I know most of them got their heads stuck up their ass. So anyway, they're too busy to listen to what's going on. So anyway, these people, poor people, didn't get off. They'd missed the flight. The next one wasn't going till 9 o'clock the next day, which was 12 hours away. So then I got to get hotels and anyway. So I've pretty much used up this whole talking boxing segment with this, but it pissed me off. So, and guess what? Then I get down. We all do the right thing. We let them get off, and then we just amble down nice and slowly, nice and easy, as you do. Your bags are on the plane. They've got to get them off. The bag carousel is the great equalizer. It doesn't matter how quick you get off the freaking plane or get through customs or whatever the hell you got to do. You go down in the carousel and you got to wait like everyone else. So guess what? Everyone gets down there, and guess what? Those people that went off, they're still waiting for the bags. I just walk up, got my bag, and off I went. So a moral to, or the what do you call it? The moral to the story is, just for Christ's sake, listen to what they say. Have some empathy and respect and courtesy to people, and we'll all get along just fine. But I think in this 2 years, whatever it's been since we're locked down and not travelling, or whatever the hell it's going on in the world at the moment, we're all pissed off at each other. No one gives a toss. And I'll tell you what was actually interesting before we actually get on to what this segment's all about, which is talking boxing. I'm just talking travelling at the moment because it's been a real eye-opener. People these days, they don't know or don't care or don't want to communicate anymore. They sit there, they have the headphones in. Some of them even have the hoodies up and the masks up to their eyes so you can't even see, and they're looking down. No one makes eye contact. No one acknowledges each other. Everyone is just going like a little sea of ants. They're all just going around doing their own thing, and no one cares. So anyway, it was just a little bit I noticed on the way over. Having said that, going to the Ground Zero this morning, it was actually good to see people smiling in the park area. That is obviously not the most cheerful place on earth, obviously, but it was good to see people down. A lot of tourists actually enjoying themselves and paying their respects and everything like that. But airports and planes and I don't know. As I said, I know it's because I haven't travelled for so long, but being cooped up with I felt more claustrophobic than I ever have travelling. And as I said, people just didn't give a shit. They only give a shit about themselves. So wake up if you're one of those people. So anyway, a little bit of my travels before we get into the talking boxing. I'm here for the International Boxing Hall of Fame. That's the reason I've come over to New York, not New York City, but New York State. So I'm here for 4 days. Then I'm heading up to Canastota. Actually, little detour before that, I'm actually flying from New York to Buffalo. I'm crossing over the border into Canada. Yes, Justin Trudeau hopefully doesn't detain me at the border after we've all had a little bit to say about that dickwad in the last 12 months, but I'm heading over to the border into Canada to see some friends and family. I was an exchange student back in 1991. I've been back about 6 or 7 times, or probably more times, I suppose. But I'm heading back there to, just for a day or so, just to say good day. And then I'm heading off to Canastota. I'll be there for 4 days. Going to be a big 4 days. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not really sure what to expect, to be honest. As I said, I've never done this before. I've actually been to Canastota. I've been to the Hall of Fame. That was about 8 years ago, but obviously it wasn't part of the inductions. It was just there with my family. So that was really good, and and you'd miss it if you didn't know it was there. It was a population of about 1,000 people. I got no doubt. I don't know the official population. I might look that up as we're going, but it can't be many because it's a little, small, tiny country town. If you didn't know it was there, you'd drive straight past it. And I'm looking around the city, looking for where it could be, and I spotted this little house, and I could see a little shed or big shed out the back, and I'm thinking, that can't be it. It's the size of a house. Sure enough, that's it. And he's been there. You know what I'm talking about. There's not really a lot to see, but I tell you what. That when you walk in there, it's like history smacks you in the face. It's amazing. And for a boxing fan, it was definitely a bucket list to actually go there in the first place. And now it's another bucket list moment to actually go back. And I'll get into all the details in a second before we get on to all the boxing news. So you're going to have to sit through me explaining what I'm up to over here in the States. So, and of course, obviously, this is not the normal talking boxing segment where there's interaction. This is just me talking, and either you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or wherever it is you might be watching. So, happy to hear your comments and that as well. So anyway, so I get up there, I think on the Wednesday evening/night, I'll be in Canastota, and the festivities kick off on the Thursday. So I've got the itinerary right here. Let's have a look and see what is happening. All right, so there's so much going on in those 4 days. It's going to be awesome. So on the Thursday, they've got lectures all day and autographs. I'm not sure really what the lecture's about. I'm not sure who gives the lectures or what they're about, but apparently there's lectures. So I'm assuming they're maybe past greats or I don't know. But anyway, on the Friday, there's more lectures, fist casting, so they'll be putting the fist in plaster. If you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. They have a lot of them in the little cabinets and that there of the greats, so they'll be doing that. Then on the Friday night, actually, which would be awesome, it's a fight night. So it's at the Turning Stone Casino in Verona, I think it is. So looking forward to that. That will be pretty cool. Cheap tickets. I think I got a ringside seat for like $100, so it was really good. So that should be awesome. I'm assuming that all the greats and that'll be there as well that are getting inducted. So, and I'll get onto that, who's being inducted in a sec. Saturday, there's a fun run. No chance whatsoever I'll be doing that one. More lectures. And then that night, there's a banquet of champions. So I'm not actually going to the banquet. I wish I was. I tried to get tickets, but they sold out at the end of last year before I decided I was going, or the start of this year. But they have got a viewing area that I'm going to be at. It still cost me 85 American dollars, by the way, just to go and sit in the viewing area. So I hope they at least give me a soft drink while I'm there. But yeah, the Banquet of Champions, they have all the inductees there. Obviously, it's a banquet. They have speeches and all different stuff. So that should be pretty cool. So I'll try and get as much, footage as I can. And obviously get to meet some of them if I can as well. On the Sunday, that's the big day. So in the morning, they have a parade of the champions. So that's through the little town of Canastota. Then they're on the back of cars and that sort of stuff, so that should be pretty cool. And then after that is the actual inductions. Now, getting on to the inductions. Now, I haven't got it in front of me, or do I? Yes, I think I do. The people that are being inducted, I don't want to get this wrong. Is it actually in there? Probably not. Hang on. There we go. I don't know the big ones, of course. Probably the biggest one, arguably, is Floyd Mayweather Jr. How cool is that? Floyd Mayweather Jr. Now, I haven't got the list there, so I'll go off from what I can remember. So Floyd Mayweather Jr. is being inducted. Oh, sorry, before I start, the reason I wanted to go to this induction, and perfect timing, is that obviously because of COVID, they haven't done it for the last 2 years. So normally they'll induct probably, 6 or 7 boxers, or sometimes not even, plus officials and whoever else they might want to induct for different reasons. I know Sylvester Stallone was actually inducted for his work for boxing, and I suppose how many people have actually started up boxing because of Rocky. So he was inducted on an honorary basis for his work his work over the years in bettering the sport. So normally they have sort of 6 or 7. This year I think they've got about 20. So again, I haven't got the full list in front of me, but the main ones: Floyd Mayweather Jr., as I said, arguably the biggest name. The reason I say arguably, because there's also Roy Jones Jr. So if you're a Roy Jones Jr. fan, look, a lot of people say he was a better boxer and achieved a bit more than what Floyd did. Don't let his later career sway your judgment, because at his best, he was the man for sure. So Floyd Mayweather, Roy Jones is also Bernard Hopkins, which will be really great. I'm a big fan of Bernard Hopkins as well. Miguel Cotto, Juan Manuel Marquez. I think there's a couple of guys. I think Holly Holm is one. Layla Ali, I think, was one as well. So Shane Mosley was another one. So all these names. Sorry if I'm missing them. I don't know what I was saying. Haven't got the list in front of me, but look it up. International Boxing Hall of Fame inductions, June 8 to 12. So again, really looking forward to that. So getting back to when I first went over there, 2014 was when I went there with my family. Now we finally found it. And we walk in there, I think it was like $15 or something to go in, and my wife and kids, they come with me. They're probably a little bit, whatever, especially my kids. I think they were only 6 and 8 or 8 and 10 or something like that at the time. But we all went in and we all had a ball. And the reason I had a ball, of course, because I'm a mad boxing fan. And but my wife and even my kids, they had a good look around. They really enjoyed it as well. In there's all memorabilia. So there's all old trunks and robes and gloves and fight tickets and just so much to see. The fist casting, as I said before. Out the back is the pavilion, so they've actually got the ring that Ali and Fraser actually fought in out the back there. They've got heaps of memorabilia you can buy out there, but what made it even better is that the curator or manager or whatever you want to call him, I think his name was Ed Brophy, I think his name was, he was actually in the office that day and he came out. I was the only one in there. So I paid my $15 or $60 for the four of us. I went through, the boys and Tara went on, off and did their own sort of thing and tried to look interested, I suppose. But Ed came out, introduced himself, and he obviously found I was from Australia. He said, come with me. He gave me the personal tour. So I actually got my hand held right through the whole thing and everything explained. I mean, I knew a lot of it anyway because, I know my boxing, but to go around and actually have the curator or manager actually take me around and personally show me different things and tell me different stories about who was there and, that it happened over these. I think he'd been there a long time. So that was a real experience for me. So, so again, if you're not a real hardcore boxing fan like me, you're probably thinking, what's all the fuss about? But I'm telling you, if you haven't been there, get there at some stage because, for every true boxing fan, it is as I said before, a true bucket list thing to do. So, on to my trip here in New York. Before I start, I want to show you this. How good is that? That's my breakfast from this morning. If you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen it. That is stuffed French toast. So that had walnuts, bananas, strawberries, and some sort of concoction in the middle of it, sour cream mixed with some sort of sugar or something. But how good is that? So anyway, I just had to throw that in there. So on to the boxing news. So that's what I'm up to at the moment, obviously. So so I'll have a lot more footage coming. I'll probably put a few photos and little snippets of videos up on our Instagram. But I will do a proper video once I get back and edit it, and I'll put it all together, maybe take 30, 40 minutes, and it'll be my whole trip. So look out for that one. On to the stuff at the moment. Of course, as I said, it's all about one thing at the moment, and that is George Kambosos versus Devin Haney this weekend. It's Saturday night here in the States. It'll be Sunday back there in Australia. So I've been trying to keep on top of everything. There's obviously a lot of travelling and lots of stuff going on at the moment, but I have tried to keep on track of it with the social media side of things. I did see at time of recording this, I haven't had it confirmed, but the cut man was detained. Bob Ware, I think his name, was detained at the airport. I'm not sure, as I said, it's been about 10 hours or something since it happened. You guys are in the middle of the night over there. I'm just in between things here, so I thought I'd just whack this out. But yeah, so it was about 9 or 10 hours ago that it happened, so I'm not sure what the result of it was. I'm assuming by the time you watch this, you'll know, obviously. But the other one, actually, the good news, though, was that Bill Haney, his dad, Devin's dad, has been actually granted a visa to come in. So hopefully that is the case. That was, again, about 9 or 10 hours ago. I'm assuming he's scrambling to get on a flight to get to Australia. I've got no doubt he'll get there probably, with a day's notice, which is amazing to think they're going to pull it off. So I hope he does. And I really think it's good for George to actually be pushing for it as well, whether that's not the case behind closed doors. And I don't know, but publicly he's come out and said he wants Haney to be at his best or with the most support. And that doesn't surprise me, actually, because George is that type of guy. He backs himself and... So he'll want the best Haney that he can probably get, and I think they'll be able to get some sort of cut man over here. That won't be a problem. But the fact they've got his trainer, or Bill Haney, his dad and trainer, manager, whatever he is, to come over, I think that'll be a lot. Peace of mind for Devin. So it should be good. But the fight itself. Been a big week, as I said. I've been trying to keep on top of everything with all the face-offs and the press conferences. I did see the press conference when I landed the other day, and I'm not quite sure with that. Was it in a shoe store or something like that. I'm not quite sure what it was, but either way, it looked a little bit awkward, a little bit cramped in there. And watching the press conference, I was really surprised. Well, not surprised. George brought up the snitching or rat or whatever he called Devin Haney, and I can probably see why he did it, because he did it with Teofimo Lopez. Don't forget, he tried to get under his skin and just create some sort of little bit of tension or unsettle him or whatever it might be. And I've got the feeling he did that, but I must admit, for me, it fell really flat. It fell flat. I don't know why he... Look, I think, as I said, he was doing it to get under Haney's skin, but unlike the Lopez thing that went on for a long time, and Lopez reacted to it, and there was genuine bad blood there, I just don't think Devin Haney's that type of guy. I really don't. He's so calm, so collected, so down to earth. I really don't think coming up with that sort of stuff's going to really offset or upset Devin Haney or whatever. So I just don't think it was a smart move by George. I think he actually came off not in the best light. I just thought it was a bit of a cheap shot. At the end of the day, Devin Haney had the best response, to come back with, and that's, well, you helped Manny Pacquiao when he fought Jeff Horn. Now, there's not really any difference. I know George said it was different because they were only sparring and all the rest of it, but sorry, I sort of see it the other way. Little bit hypocritical, George, that you've said that you helped Manny, and whether it's sparring or giving secrets, whatever, you helped Manny in his fight against Jeff. So really, really strange comment from George, and I don't know whether he thought of it himself or someone put it up to him. But to come out and say that, and he's been going on with it since then, in the days after that, being a snitch and being a rat and being an informant. As I said, for me, it just fell really flat, totally unnecessary. I don't think it had any effect on Devin Haney whatsoever. I think, if anything, Devin Haney just would have been shaking his head thinking, bro, is this the best you've got to get under my skin, And he didn't react, and as I said, I think it would have been water off a duck's back, but I did find it surprising, and as I said, even though it worked with Teofimo Lopez is a bit hot. Obviously, he had his dad there to work up as well, and it really worked. There was that genuine bad blood and angst between them. In this instance, I just think it fell really flat, and George probably didn't read the room very well either. I think once he actually made the comment, there wasn't much reaction from Haney himself or his team or the crowd, but he kept going on with it. He just sort of dropped it there. Just move on. He's had his say. Maybe elaborate on it after that in social media interviews or whatever you might want to do. But the fact he's kept going at it, I just think the only person that it probably made look bad was George himself. So anyway, but it was an entertaining press conference. I don't know why, again, they had it there. Maybe they're a sponsor or whatever. I think it might have been Culture Kings. I think they're one of the sponsors. But anyway, I think they had another press conference during the night here, which looked a little bit better. I think they had all the fighters there. So we're getting closer, only a couple of days out from the time I'm recording this, or a day and a half, I think it is. It's Friday afternoon here. So it's probably sometime Saturday evening over there if you're watching it straight away. So anyway, so that was that. Really liked the fact now, as we're only a day or two away, that the excitement starts to build. I think the promoters have done an absolutely sensational job promoting it. The whole town's talking about it. Even over here. They're talking about the fight over there, so it's I think they've just done such a great job. I never thought anyone would be able to replicate the Horn Pacquiao scenario. I mean, Pacquiao, one of the biggest names ever in this sport. Devin Haney and George Kambosos, of course, aren't anywhere near the names of Manny Pacquiao. So I really thought they might struggle to generate that interest. But again, Melbourne is such a sporting town, and the Greeks and not just Melbourne, but the rest of Australia. Excuse me. But I think, as I said, I didn't think they'd be able to replicate it, but they have, and I can't wait to watch it on Saturday night here and just see what the crowd looks like and how they react. And I must admit, though, I'm a little bit not dubious, but cautious about the venue. I think the venue itself is awesome. Obviously, been there lots of times for the football. I think it'll look great. Lots of people there, but I hope, being so big, and I know they say it fits about 50,000 people, but that's in the stands. They probably get another 20,000 on the field, so it's probably only going to be about 30,000 up in the stands. I hope how big it is. The atmosphere doesn't get sort of lost up in the roof, if that makes sense. The good thing about some of these other shows, they're enclosed, the roof's on. I'm assuming they'll have the roof on for this one, but it's if you haven't been there, it's a big stadium. Aussie rules stadiums are big. They're not a basketball stadium or even a rugby stadium. Like going to Suncorp, it was really enclosed, nowhere near the capacity of what Marvel Stadium is. So, I just hope they can replicate it. I'm sure they will. Melburnians will lift the roof off. They always do with all the sporting events. But that's my only concern with it is that the atmosphere will get sort of lost in there. I mean, I don't know if any of you remember when Tszyu fought there back in 2003. He fought Jesse James Lahar. It wasn't the most exciting fight. I don't know whether it's because the fight itself wasn't overly entertaining or the crowd. But knowing the Greek population, I'm sure they'll be whipped into a frenzy and they'll be there en masse. So, yeah. So anyway, I'll be really intrigued. I think I know you guys have to watch it either at the fights themselves or on main event. I've got a feeling it's on ESPN over here. So I'm hoping I should be able to watch it in my hotel room. Might go down and check out one of the sports bars. There's a few around here in Lower Manhattan, so I'll see how I go. But I might be able to watch it in the comfort of my hotel room and have no distractions and no one making noise. So we'll see how we go with that. But either way, it's on ESPN over here. I think ESPN Plus on the app if you're watching it that way. So, so to the fight itself, who wins? I don't know. I really don't know. I've looked at it. I've analysed it. I've looked at the styles of both. George is obviously he's very quick. He's not probably the most the biggest puncher. He's 20-0 with 10 knockouts. Sorry, I'll just get a drink of water there. So look. He pounces, he's quick, he bides his time, and he strikes. He strikes hard, he's very quick, and he can punch. As I said, he's not a puncher per se, but he can punch, as he showed against Teofimo Lopez. Haney, on the other hand, very good skills, good footwork. He can punch as well. I think he's had 27 fights, I think, for 15 KO, so he can punch as well. Again, not a big puncher, but he can still punch. I think the big thing for me in this one is at this time, unlike Teofimo Lopez against George, is that Devin Haney knows exactly what he's going to get, and he's going to take. Obviously, you've got to take the champion seriously. I've got a feeling Lopez, probably a little bit like the Pacquiao situation, didn't really take George seriously, just like Manny didn't take Jeff Horn seriously, and he paid the price. And I think by the time he realised he was in a fight, it was too late. He'd been dropped, he'd been cut. Maybe his conditioning wasn't as good as it might have been. Maybe his frame of mind wasn't as good as it might have been. Take nothing away from George, of course, because at the end of the day, you get in there and you get the job done, which he did. But I think this time, Devin Haney knows exactly what he's in for. He's not going to underestimate George. Obviously, he holds the belts. He's undisputed champion for me. Forget this WBC belt that Haney's got. That means nothing. George is the undisputed champion. But that to me is the great unknown for me, is what's going to happen. Can George replicate what he did against Teofimo Lopez? I hope he can. I really do. But as Jeff Horn showed against Manny Pacquiao, it can be pretty difficult. He failed to get up after that. He did have that one defence against Gary Corcoran. Not exactly a world beater, and then obviously was taken apart by Crawford and probably never recovered after that and really struggled to get back. Having said that, I think he's 3 or 4 years older than what George is, or was at the time. George, I think, keeps himself in a lot better mental and physical shape in between fights. Never switches off. Jeff, I've got a feeling, in between fights sort of lets himself go a little bit, puts on a bit of weight and forgets about boxing and gets away from it. George seems to be just engrossed in boxing 24/7. So I've got a feeling that will hold him in good stead. But as I said, it still doesn't take away. Can he rise again like he did against Lopez in a superhuman effort that was when he beat Teofimo Lopez? Can he do it again against a genuine world-class fighter in Devin Haney? And if you're not quite sure out there, Haney's background, rest assured, he is the real deal. He is a legitimate. Well, obviously he's got the WBC whatever belt it is, interim or silver or the side belt, whatever it might be. But he's got a belt. He can fight. His last 3 fights against Yuri Gamboa, Jorge Linares, and I can't remember who the other one was, but I will see here. Jojo Diaz, of course. Yeah. So, so he's had his last 3 fights have been very, very good opposition. He's won them all by decision. So the odds are if he's going to win, it's going to be on points. George, on the other hand, has had those fights against Lee Selby and Mickey Bay, and then obviously Teofimo Lopez. So similar lead-in fights into this one. Obviously, George had the fight over Lopez, which trumps everything, but similar types of experience levels, similar styles, I would say. The one thing I will say before I give my verdict is that one thing I think George will probably find a little bit harder to adapt to than he did with Lopez and some of the other guys he's fought is Haney has a very, very good jab, and he's not afraid to use it, and he whips it out. I think that's going to be the one thing, the key to his victory. If we go over those keys to victories, for me, Haney, stiff jab, unsettled George. George likes to just creep in, and then he lets him go. Haney has to keep that jab in his face. And as I said, the good thing about Haney, it's not just a poke-out jab. He spears it out. He lets it go, and he fires multiple jabs per round. And I think he has to do that to unsettle George, to keep him with not being able to set and throw that overhand right. Because Haney adapts a little bit of the not the peekaboo style, the shoulder roll. He's obviously done some work with the Mayweathers. So he is open to that right hand if it's timed right. So that's key to George, I'll get to in a moment. So I think with Devon, snap the jab out, move off to the sides, don't stand in front of George, move off to the left, move off to the right, just don't stand in front of him for that counter right hand. And the left hook as well. George loves to throw that hook. He can work the body really well as well. So that's what Haney has to do. For George, again, as I said, that overhand right, he has to get in close, he has to time the jab, maybe come over the top, either with an overhand right, over the top of that jab, or slip the jab and come over with another right hand, maybe follow with a left hook. I think that's what he's going to have to do to unsettle Haney, and not just throw 1 or even 2 punches at a time. I think he has to throw 2, 3, even 4 punches at a time to unsettle Haney as well. So should be a really entertaining fight. Again, I'm not quite sure what to make of when they're in there together. Both of them, I can see Kambosos winning, I can see Haney winning. One thing I can't see is a knockout. I don't think either one of them will win by knockout. I think it's going to be a close decision. I don't think there'll be any discrepancies with the scorecards. Of course, if Haney loses, it's going to be all about the scorecards. The judges with the home cooking, as they say. But at the end of the day, there's 3 judges from outside Australia, so let's not get caught up in that. This is the same thing with the Horn-Pacquiao fight. And guys, 3 independent judges from overseas. They scored the fight for Horn, let it go. I think in the same instance with this one. So I'm not really worried about the home cooking, as they say. But look, I will be honest, definitely my heart says George Kambosos. I really hope he can back up that Lopez performance. I really hope he can put them together, and I really hope he keeps that title and makes it undisputed and steps up after that and fights a Lomachenko's or Ryan Garcia or Tank Davis, whoever it might be. But I must admit, my head is leaning towards Devin Haney. And I hate to say it, I know it's probably good that I'm over here in America at the moment, because although I've still got the social media, people can get at me. But look, I love George. I love everything he brings to the table and what he's done for the sport in Australia, just like Jeff Horn did 5 years ago. I've just got this feeling, though, that as I said earlier, Devin Haney being fully prepared mentally and physically for what's going to be coming at him this time. I've just got the feeling he's got the skills. He's got the whole kit bag to pull off the win. I think it won't be one-sided. Don't get me wrong. I think it'll be close-ish. But I've just got a feeling that Devin Haney wins a close but unanimous decision to take the belts. And I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But I'm not on here to toe the line and just tell you everyone what they want to hear. It's my opinion. I really want George to win. I hope he does. But on the other hand, I just think Devin Haney has got the skills, the polish, the speed, the footwork. everything that he needs to, and especially knowledge on what George is now like. So, as I said, I hope I'm wrong, but I've just got that feeling that Devin Haney wins by unanimous decision. So, all will be revealed in a couple of days. And that's about it for that one. In other news we can talk about, obviously, the other big news this week that's sort of been overshadowed a little bit is that Tszyu has now got the chance. Well, it looks like he's going to get the chance against Charlo. The WBO have ordered the fight. They've got until June 20th to make a deal. It just doesn't mean, though, the fight's going to happen. So I just want to clarify that just because the WBO have come out and have ordered the fight doesn't mean it's going to happen. Remember, Charlo holds 3 other belts: WBC, WBA, and IBF belts. So who knows whether they might mandate that he fights someone else. So he'll have the option. Either way, Tim gets the shot, but Charlo will have the option to either fight Tszyu, of course, later in the year, or vacate the WBO title and fight someone else, and Tszyu will then fight the number 2 challenger, who I haven't got in front of me at the moment, for the belt. So either way, Tim gets the shot at the WBO belt. Got to remember too, Tim's actually ranked in the top 2 or 3 of the WBC and IBF as well. So who knows? He could, all together. Hopefully, the WBC and IBF will back the WBO and say yes, we're going to demand that he fights Tim. Stranger things have happened. There is this unofficial little agreement they've all got now that they're supposed to back each other and understand what they're all doing. But whether or not the WBA is the only intangible in this whole thing, because they've gone a little bit rogue lately. They've sort of gone away from the other 3 organisations. They stripped Josh Taylor. Excuse me, for not defending. Can't remember who was against. I haven't got it in front of me again. But they stripped him after all the 4 bodies that apparently had this little agreement that they would back each other and give each other an opportunity. Obviously didn't happen, so that's probably the only one. But either way, it'd be great for Tim to fight for the undisputed title, of course. But as I said, the WBA the only sort of fly in the ointment for that. So June 20th we'll know. I know Tim wants it in the States. No Limit wanted in Australia. I don't think that they really care. They probably have the capacity to make a lot more money in Australia. You can imagine that in Australia. It'd be the equivalent to this fight with Kambosos and Haney. They'll probably do it in Sydney at one of the big stadiums there, and it would generate tens of millions of dollars, I would think, that fight. So I can understand why they want it there. But Tim, he wants to follow in the footsteps of his father. He wants to win it in the States and defend it in the States. I think he's done with Australia. I think he might come back and do what maybe Costa did and maybe defend it here once or twice, but I think he wants to base his career in the States now, and why wouldn't he? He's done the hard yards in Australia. Excuse me, sorry. He's done the hard yards in Australia, so good luck to him. Go to America and reach for the stars, as they say. Might grab a drink there. All right, so we'll know more about that in the coming weeks. What is it now? It's about less than 3 weeks away now, so we should know more. I think they were talking about maybe August or September. I'm not quite sure they would do it in September, because that's when Canelo is fighting Triple G. I think they'd probably want some cleaner air, I would think. Although August might be a little bit too soon for Charlo. But we'll see. Maybe they could do it in October, November. I don't think it really matters. Tim's obviously got the hands that are healing at the moment, so I would think maybe October they might look to do it. Charlo only tends to fight once a year, but hopefully he makes an exception. He's obviously just fought a couple of weeks ago, so that's what I'm probably thinking. So hopefully that's the case. But either way, great news for Team Tszyu. I really think he's got a great chance to win that fight. Tough, don't get me wrong. I don't think they come much harder. I think it'd be the equivalent to Kambosos beating Teofimo Lopez, to be honest. It would be a tough one, but good on him. You've got to be in it to win it, and I think he's in with a great chance. He's got an awesome team behind him, and they've managed and promoted him the right way, and I think when he gets his shot, he will take it. I see also there's also the Rafa situation as well. I must admit I haven't really been across that in the last few days. There is talk when I did leave that that's going to be end of year in Melbourne. Maybe I did see that Sam Labruna was talking with Bob Arum while I was in Melbourne. Great timing to do that. So should have some more news on that as well. And I think we touched on it on the Boxing Deep Dive show last week, I think it was. that Eddie Hearn is going to announce his first Australian show. So I'm not quite sure what's happening with that. I'm assuming they'll do it maybe the week after this fight. I don't know. All eyes of Australian boxing obviously be on this event, so I'm assuming they plan to then, after this fight's over, go bang and Matchroom's coming. I don't know. So it'd be really interesting to see what happens there. Great for Aussie boxing to have No Limit. The D&L guys are now Matchroom in Australia. I think it'll be great. Obviously, they've got Dempsey McKean, Sky Nicholson, Ebony Bridges, Brock Jarvis. So they've got a full card they can put on, and obviously they'll fill it with probably some card fillers as well. So some exciting news there. Speaking of actually Sky Nicholson, she's fighting this weekend against Gabriella Bouvier in Cardiff, Wales. So good luck to Sky with that. I did see also that Stevie Spark is fighting on the 15th of June, I think it is. I'll just bring it up here. I've got my box rec up. Let's have a look. June 11th, I must say. Saturday, June 11th, Rumours International in Toowoomba. Now, he's fighting a guy named Apanon Kong Song, 18-1. But the big thing to know about that one, he's only had the one loss, and that was in a world title fight against Josh Taylor. So he's definitely got the credentials there. So good luck to Stevie Spark in that one. Also, Isaac Hardman is on the comeback trail. Good to see Isaac back. Love Isaac, the head splitter. He's fighting Bo Hartis. Just in a comeback fight. I don't think Bo Hartis will present much of a challenge for Isaac, but at the end of the day, you've got to do what you've got to do. You've got to get back in there. It's on the undercard of the Opataya Breeders fight, which obviously is on the Gold Coast on July 2nd. Also on that card is, what have we got there? Yes, Joel Camilleri, Cohen Masudia, Farah Chevalier, Connor Wallace. That should be a ripper as well. So Saturday, July 2nd, Gold Coast Convention Centre. So just a ripper month for boxing. Some other stuff going on at the moment before we get into some other stuff is June 11th, our old mate Tszyu on the Boxing Deep Dive show. He's got Luke Jackson's farewell fight down in Tassie, Hobart Netball and Sports Centre, down there in Hobart, Tasmania. He's fighting Arief Blader. Don't get concerned about the record here. Luke's 19-2, obviously. Arief Blader, look, he's got a 27-33 record, 3 draws. But look, this is not about the quality of the opposition. This guy's obviously had a lot of fights, by the way. He's had 63 fights, so he's no slouch. But I think there has been people out there criticising, I've seen it on social media, criticising the fight. This is not about Luke Jackson challenging for another world title or for some other title out there. This is a farewell fight. So I think in this instance, he's got a tough, durable fighter in Arief Blader. It's just about saying goodbye to the boxing fans in Hobart, because it'll definitely be his last one in Tassie, but it might be his last fight overall unless some other opportunity comes up. So I think it's good. As I said, don't shoot the messenger as far as Tassie, the promoter, goes. I think it's just a matter of giving Luke his comeback, his farewell fight, saying goodbye to his loyal fans down in Tasmania, and giving him the send off that he deserves. On the undercard of that one, Christina Jacobs will fight Sarah Jalanen for the vacant Tassie Super Featherweight title. So Christina Mousy Jacobs 5-3, Sarah Jalanen is 2-1. Also on the undercard, Bo Belbin 5-0. If he gets his fight, hopefully he'll be fighting Nikita Tszyu after this one. He's fighting Junior Salo, who's 2-1, or Sola. Matthew Triffett, Edriel Teen, I think you pronounce it. Judging by the records there, Matthew Triffett should have a nice, comfortable win there. Stuart Dare, the MMA fighter, is fighting on their card as well. And Luke Waddington, who I know very well, is the fellow Bendigo boy, making his debut against Jared Fisher. So that should be really good, that one. A good card for Tassie, and best of luck if you're watching this one, Tassie. On the undercard for this week, I think we went over this anyway. You got the two Maloneys. Jason Maloney will be fighting the main support to the Kambosos Haney fight against Aston Palicite, I think you pronounce it. I think Peter did tell me how to pronounce it, but Palicite, I think it's pronounced, 28-4-1. Jason's 23-2. Andrew will be fighting Alexander Espinoza, who's 21-3-2. So that should be a ripper fight. That's actually after the Kambosos Haney fight. Lots of good fights on the undercard. Lucas Brown Jr. Farr should be a war. Should be a good one. Hemi Ahio is fighting Christian Zoy. Terry Nicholas fighting Lachlan Higgins, 2 local boys. When I say local, New South Wales versus Melbourne, so 2 Aussies. Amari Jones, the American, 5-0 against Ankle Shooter, 3-0-1. One thing I will say in this one, this Amari Jones better not think he's come over here from America for a soft touch over here on the undercard, because Ankle Shooter can fight. I don't know if you remember him. He's actually trained by Steve Della and Luke. We got it there. I'm sorry. So Steve Della up there in Queensland. So 7, where is he? 3-0-1. He started with Jerry Hooder. Sorry, I got sidetracked there. Started with Jerry Murphy. If you can remember the first Horn and Zarafa card, he fought and Andrew Taylor. Who was it? Hang on. Andrew Hunt. Sorry, it's been a long couple of days. Andrew Hunt, and got a draw. Really unlucky not to beat Andrew Hunt. So he's 3-0-1. Amari Jones, 5-0. That should be a really good fight. Taylor Robinson, really like Taylor. She definitely got a lot of potential there. 4-1. Their one loss was against Shannon O'Connell. She's against Sarah Higginson, who's 3-0-1. And David Nyika, the Kiwi, against Karim Matala, who's 2-1. David Nyika is 2-0. A couple other undercard fights in there, so it should be a really good card, that one. Actually, also you've got Luke Gersbeck, who's a wild fighter from that stables, fighting Isaias Seti, who's making his debut. So I'm not sure where Seti is from. So that should be a good one. And then and then we've obviously got the big one. I think it's the day I get back. It is the 15th of June. Justice Honey, Joseph Goodall. Really looking forward to that one. Justice Honey, 5-0. Joseph Goodall, 8-0-1. Jack Gibb, this kid is going places, 5-0 against Francis Watay, who's also 5-0. So a real test there for Jack Gibb. That should be a good one. Taylor Robinson backing up there. Jeez, what's that? Only 10 days after this fight. She's fighting Gretel DePaz, who's 6-6-2, but don't let the record throw. She can fight. I've promoted her in the past when she fought Nex Johnson. Honey, who's Justice Honey's brother, is fighting Thomas Wilkins, who's 2-4. Honey's making his debut. It's also got Bryce McLaughlin, who's 1-0 against Dan Hill, who's making his debut. So that should be some really good fights coming up. That'll see us through to when I get back, so I'll have more news. We'll obviously talk about it on the deep dive show, as well as talking boxing. I do miss, while we're going here, I do miss not actually having any feedback here. I've normally got a lot of questions coming through and comments that I can come back at you with, but a little bit harder when you're just talking to yourself. So that's those cards coming up. On the international scene, I did see that Anthony Joshua is enlisted Robert Garcia to train him for the Usyk fight, which is really surprising if you ask me. Robert Garcia tends to stick to the Mexican fighters, so I'm a little bit surprised he's taking on a big British heavyweight. But look, he's obviously done his homework, Anthony Joshua, so good on him. Robert Garcia, great trainer, really good trainer. So I'm sure he'll bring the best out in Anthony Joshua. I did hear that Joshua did the rounds around America to try and source the best trainer or the best fit for him, the one with the most chemistry. And obviously he settled on Robert Garcia. So that should be interesting. I think they're talking about Saudi Arabia. I think the date was supposed to be July 23, but I don't think that's going to be the case now. I think they'll push it back to August, I think they had to get it all arranged this week, or it was going to have to be pushed back a month. So stay tuned to that one. As I said, it's been a little bit hard keeping across everything while I've been on planes and airports and everything else. So I'll try and get some more info for you guys when I get back for our normal edition. But look, I hope you've enjoyed this one. It's only a shorter one. Obviously, it's not, as I said, it's not as much fun when I'm talking to myself. I like having the comments come through, and I like interacting with you guys. But I couldn't do it live, obviously, because it's too early in the morning over here when you guys are in the afternoon or evening. So, yeah, as I said, I hope you've liked this. Keep a lookout for our Instagram. I haven't really put a lot on the boxing deep dive page just yet because it's all just been my own touristy things here in New York. But once I actually get to Canastota, I'll be having regular updates on there. I might even do a live or something like a recorded one when I'm in Canastota. Who knows? We might even get an interview or two. Look, I haven't got my hopes up, to be honest, because look, there's going to be thousands of people converging on this one, especially because of the magnitude of it. We're having so many inductees this time. I've got no doubt it's going to be packed. Hotel rooms. The pricks at the hotel in Canastota, which probably charge $50 a night, normally are charging about $400 a night to stay there. So I'm hoping they clean up on it. But it is what it is. But yeah, so I've got no doubt there'll be thousands of people there, and coming in, because it's not just the inductees that are there. Obviously, it's all the past inductees come as well. So there'll be heaps of people there for this once in a lifetime event. So it might be a little bit hard getting interviews and photos and that sort of stuff, but I'm going to do my best. I've got my camera there. I'll be trying to sneak in, but worst case, I'll have lots of photos and videos for you guys to see. As I said, I might do an update and do the best as I can to get you some interviews or whatever. But yeah, I'm not going to hold my breath. We'll see how we go. But that's it for this episode, guys. Hope you've enjoyed it. Yeah, I just thought I would fill in some time and do this episode for you guys with my thoughts, especially on the Kambosos and Haney fight. I really wanted to let my thoughts be known on that one. As I said, I apologise to all the George Kambosos fans out there, but I do think Devin Haney wins a close but unanimous decision on Sunday your time. So really can't wait to watch it over here, and look forward to all your comments. Don't forget, when I get back, there's no dream fights or classic fights until I get back, which will be another week or two. So keep a lookout for those as well. Keep the comments coming, the requests coming. Really enjoy interacting with you guys. I got a lot of messages on Instagram and Facebook and everything else. Keep them coming. I'm always happy to answer them or have my say, state my opinion on whatever. Because as I said, this show is not about being all nice and warm and fuzzy and telling people what they want to hear. This is just honest, from the heart opinions, and and it is what it is. So thanks again, guys. Really appreciate it, and we'll catch up soon.